for Africans.
Yeah. See that? A little bit more, just a little bit more.
Yeah. By 1661, slavery...
We like all these dates. Y'all keep track of these dates.
Right. By 1661, slavery had become legal.
See that?
In British colonies. Africans were preferred because of being thousands of miles from home.
See that? That's why we prefer, because ain't nowhere for us to run.
Yeah.
We don't know the terrain, we don't know the land, we don't know eventually how we going to get to where we're going.
Yeah. Indian slaves were able to flee to their armed brothers and sisters and then come roaring back seeking revenge.
See that? So we was asked out. That's how you know Judah was here to serve slavery.
Yeah, yeah. It says this idea of keeping slaves distant from their homes and families was crucial to having them under strict control.
See that?
British merchants took Indians enslaved on the mainland and shipped them out to the West Indies.
See that? So that was a practice. So you got Issachar right out there in the West Indies, and you got them up in Spain, Brazil, and so forth, back and forth. You have Judah that's on the out there too, and right here in Portugal and so forth. I'm sorry, up in Spain and Portugal. I just used the goddamn map. Yeah. But we just gonna stay on that. But yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's it. Now this is what supposed to have been a law that the white man's supposed to keep. This Ecclesiasticus 33 and 30. If thou have a servant, let him be unto thee as thyself, because thou hast brought him with a price. If thou have a servant, entreat him as a brother, for thou hast need of him, as of thy own soul. If thou entreat him evil, and he run from thee, which way will thou go to seek him? Right, because you know why the man left. Because if you raping him and killing him and torturing him, like you seen on 12 Years a Slave, like you seen on, what's that, the movie Kutu Kinte? Roots, or Drum, or so forth. It's the same atrocities that's happening. That's why we was fleeing. So that's the law on the scriptures, what they supposed to have done, but we know the actuality of what they did do.
Yep. Next one, page 3.
Okay. Oh, man.
Yep.
Yeah, start right here.
Gotcha. This is page 3. The moral questions were argued back and forth, but there were no questions of the tremendous profitability using slavery in exchange for molasses, sugar textiles, spices, and the massive free labor of cotton production on numerous plantations in the South. The system began with a conspiratorial battle of wits between the European traders and the African chiefs. Slave traders were required to know not only the state of the trade, if they were to see a profit, but also to know the likely supply of the slaves available on one hand, and the likely supply of ships on the other.
Exactly.
Which was the East Indies Company.
Yep, East Indies Company.
So like they said, it was a business, man.
Yeah, and that's why with us they had Aetna, the insurance company, insuring the slaves. So if we fled and they never found us, they was being insured. And Aetna just came and apologized last year, and your apology was not accepted.
Nope. It says also the varying values of many different standards of payment. Coins were seldom or never used on the coast. Mostly the chiefs and slave traders dealt in rolls of tobacco, barrels of rum, and firearms, and generally in length of iron or copper, or in pots and basins of brass.
Right. Yeah, just a little bit from the slavery books.
Okay. It says the slavery books are full of all of this.
Right. So it tells you that the records are there. So let's see if we can go on other books, because you know how you Americans are. You can't have one source. We can say that's true. So let's go on to other sources.
This book is called Slavery in the Arab World.
Right, because you... Go ahead. No, go ahead.
My bad. By Mary Gordon.
Right, because you fucking Arabs had a part in the play with us coming over here in the slavery. And not only we going to let this book tell y'all, but we going to go in the scriptures. You Africans and you goddamn
Arabs.
And I got y'all slavery coming up for that shit too. I think I'm just going to leave that out. No, just start where I highlighted or wherever you want to start. You just start reading too. 2?
Yeah.
Are you trying to start somewhere at the beginning?
Yeah, I was just saying.
Start right there because it
Yeah.
gives you the location.
Yep. It says,
It's on page 1. Slavery concealed in the midst of time.
and this brings the rest of the brothers in. It says it was this traffic in blacks from Africa's west coast initiated by the Portuguese in 1441
See that? The Portuguese.
that provided the labor that fueled the rapid economic development of Brazil and the old America South.
Right, because in Brazil they was doing what's called the sugarcane field.
It made possible the growth of the plantations in Jamaica,
See that?
Barbados, Hispaniola, Saint Lucia, and other islands in the Caribbean where sugar
See, I just
fortunes
said
grew.
that. Right, I just said that.
So
We know our history.
Alright, this is on page 2. It says innocent victims of a system they could not begin to comprehend. These misfortunates were either seized in early dawn attacks on villages by raiding parties or sold by avaricious African middlemen and then marched into fetters.
See that? Raiding parties and then march in the feathers of iron.
Yeah.
Everybody.
To the coast where they were bartered for the white man's artifacts. The ships that were waiting offshore for the human cargo had brought an assortment of goods from New England and the West Indies that included glass beads, knives,
See, this even going farther than what the Willie Lynch even showed.
brassware, rum, and firearms.
See that? Same thing. Now we see what them records got.
It says African human capital was exchanged for Western consumer goods.
See that?
You hit the next one?
Okay. No, that's it.
Okay.
Did that bring the Arabs in?
Nope, that's on the next page.
Okay, go ahead. We gotta keep going until you bring the Arabs in. Because we showed you where we went, where they got us from, what they traded us for, but we still ain't hit them Arabs.
This is on page 5. It says the introduction of the clove culture in Zanzibar by Omni Arabs.
One more
there
time.
you go. Omni Arabs.
That's you, Ishmaelites.
It's like Amani Arabs.
Right.
In the early part of the 19th century, transformed the island into a major importer of slaves. As this market grew in importance and with demand for slaves from the more traditional markets in the Muslim world, continuing undiminished, the East Coast and its vast hinterland took on an even greater importance as a source for slaves. So thoroughly were many parts of the region combed by Arab slavers that whole areas were depopulated.
See that? They went and got everybody.
Africa was exporting its human capital through other routes as well. Uncounted thousands were shipped across the Sahara to Barbary.
So you so-called black conscious Nubian 5%er flunky ass niggas, you Egyptology Kemet dumbass niggas, them goddamn Arabs was slaving your ass, and them Africans was carrying your ass across all they Sahara deserts.
Down the Nile to Egypt.
Right, see that? Slavery for your black ass.
But y'all want to go back.
Right, you Israelites.
And from ports on the Red Sea to Arabia, that's them Arabs. Many were sold as slaves in these countries, and until others were resold to traders who transported them to Turkey, Arabs, Syria, Arabs, the Persian Gulf region, Arabs, and Elam, because that's Pakistan, that's Afghanistan, that's Syria, Iran, and Arabia, and as far east as India, which is Elam, the East Indies with the dot. So they be over there too. In light of this, it is puzzling indeed that the Muslims dominated slave trade has been shunted off into an obscure, which means concealed, corner of historiography. So they don't tell you about us being enslaved by these Arabs Why? Because you had to give us Islam, and we had to come up under them Arabs, up under their doctrine.
Right. FOI.
For the what is it called? The Hajj.
Yeah. Because in Chicago they got Farrakhan, the FOI.
Yeah.
And his branches is scattered all over under Farrakhan and Malcolm X. Faggot ass.